A rematch is set in the battle to be the next leader of the land of Lincoln. Republican Darren Bailey accuses his opponent, J.B. Pritzker, of running for the White House rather than the governor's mansion. But a Rockford Democratic leader says the state is in good hands.
Political deja vu. Illinois voters will once again see Governor Pritzker and Darren Bailey on their November ballots. Nathaniel Langley talks with Bailey about his campaign priorities and a Rockford leader who says those priorities don't hold much weight.
Sydney, Mike, dipping into numbers from the last Pritzker-Bailey election in 2022. 12 points separated the candidates, but the Republican candidate now feels a focus on Pritzker's ambitions could close that gap.
God opened a door, and this is our mission field to step into government. And
Darren Bailey sets his sights on Springfield.
You've got a farmer from Southern Illinois, someone who's actually built something, and in this billionaire class of governors, it's not working for us.
The Republican candidate for governor throws a bit of dirt at J.B. Pritzker.
We are a state in despair right now because of J.B. Pritzker.
In 2022, Pritzker beat his challenger 55 to 42%, but Bailey thinks this rematch comes with higher stakes.
This man does not want to build Illinois. He is building his presidential campaign.
It's a no-brainer for me because I've seen the work that's been done.
State Representative Maurice West supports Pritzker in the race.
He's committed to not just our community, but the state of Illinois as a whole.
The Democratic lawmaker questions the worth of Bailey's words.
We are looking for those who can show some movement, who are able to do things.
In a statement, a Pritzker campaign spokesperson called Bailey a perennial candidate with a disastrous voting record. They added the governor hopes to build on the state's progress.
People want to regain trust in government.
Bailey believes a focus on affordability will get him across the electoral finish line.
You cannot look at one instance anywhere and say that was better.
Bailey and I's conversation also ranged from public safety to data centers. We'll share more on his ideas throughout the night and on WIFR.com.
Thank you, Nathaniel. On Election Day this year falls November 3rd for the general election. Early voting begins September 24th, with applications for voting by mail opening August 5th.